All right, we are green. Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am in a different room because, let's be honest, the weather is not cooperating with me right now. But we have got to talk about another misstep by the DOJ and our gun rights. So I'm actually in my future studio right now. So as you guys get in here, make sure the audio is good, the video is good, and particularly let me know if the sound dampening that I'm doing in here is working. If it's not working, if there's an echo, not an echo. I appreciate each and every one of you guys because we've got to dive into this. Guys, this is one of those things that has got to stop. This is coming from the DOJ, and of course, if you guys are new here, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on. We have got to dive into this. Let's just get into it. Let's just go ahead and jump in because we got to talk about something over on my X profile that just broke around 18 to 20-year-old bans. Okay, so as we get in here, let's jump into the actual announcement that you are seeing on your screen right here. So this is from the DOJ attorney Stephen Hazel. He's arguing that it is constitutional for the federal government to infringe Second Amendment rights by restricting the sale of handguns to 18 to 20-year-old adults. All right, so as you guys are fully aware of what we're dealing with in our space, this is a big thing. 18, 20-year-olds have the right to do this. They have the right to no, not really right. They have the requirement to be of military age. They can do mortgages. They can do every single thing that adults can do, except all of a sudden magically with their gun rights. This is one of the things that has to stop. And as a message in the beginning of this to Pam Bondi, if you're watching, if any of your people are watching, you got to get your rogue attorneys in order. Because we already saw this with the suppressor case, and now we're seeing it in a different court, in a different circuit, with 18 to 20-year-old bans and supporting those. Get the people in line with Trump's executive order and with your stated initiatives. Because now, what eventually is going to have to happen on this is another letter coming back from the other side of this saying, hey, maybe we shouldn't have done this. All right, let's get into the actual article. It's coming from GOF. Goodness gracious. I'm going to read this entire thing too. We write to inform the court of the en banc 11th Circuit's recent decision in the NRA versus Florida Department of Law Enforcement. That case involved a Second Amendment challenge to a state law restricting the sale of firearms to under 21-year-olds. In rejecting that challenge to a state law restricting in rejecting that challenge, the 11th Circuit held that the state's law is consistent with our historical tradition of firearm regulation. The court explained that during the founding era, minors, including 18 to 20-year-olds, okay, they're not minors now, they're adults now. So, just throwing that out there. God, it's hard to keep where I am. For example, they generally lacked unrestricted access to firearms. For example, the court observed that minors were viewed as lacking the judgment and discretion to enter contracts, including contracts to buy arms, and were subject to the powers of their parents and depended on their parents' consent to exercise rights to deal with others in society. Again, they're going after the historical context here to satisfy the Bruin decision. That's not current. Okay? Society. The court similarly emphasized that in the 19th century, 20 jurisdictions enacted laws that restricted access to arms for minors. Thus, the court recognized that for much of the first 2 centuries of our nation, our law limited the rights of individuals under the age of 21, including the purchase of firearms. This is the part where it's not great, okay? This is where the rogue agent comes in. These and other aspects of the en banc 11th Circuit's decision supporting the government's arguments here, including the federal restrictions at issue in this case, restrict only the sale of handguns, not all firearms, and apply only to sales by federal firearm licensees, not all sales, and are thus narrower than the state law the 11th Circuit upheld. For the reasons given in the 11th Circuit's opinion and in the government's prior filings in this court, the federal restrictions should be sustained. Sincerely, Stephen Hazel, attorney. That's not exactly in keeping with the right to keep and bear arms. That's not exactly in keeping with what would obviously be a no longer a minor. 18, 19, 20-year-olds are no longer minors. A rouge attorney. Yeah, I spelled it wrong in the title. You guys are hilarious. Yeah, it's got red makeup on. I'll fix it. But yeah, guys, what we're talking about here is another attorney on behalf of the DOJ putting forward legislation, or excuse me, a letter to a court that says, yeah, gun control is perfectly fine. This is exactly what we saw in the suppressor case. This is exactly what we saw, which forced a 3-day basically hiatus and then a new letter coming out saying, never mind, rescind that request. Guys, where we're at right this second, this has got to stop. If you're in the DOJ, if you're in the Pam Bondi circle, if you're the chief of staff for the Attorney General, or you're the Attorney General herself, Madam Attorney General Pam Bondi, you've got to get your people in order, because when this continues to happen right here, from a perspective of one attorney acting on behalf of the whole DOJ, whether you knew, you didn't know, it puts you in a position which is very uncomfortable. You're either, I didn't know that they were doing this, or B, you're behind it. And both of those scenarios aren't great. One is better than the other, but both aren't great. This has got to stop happening. But anyway, that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about. Sorry for the differing acoustics and setting. It is raining like a cats and dogs out there, and I couldn't get into my trailer for the for the studio. But I hope you guys share this out. Just make sure that everyone knows this, because the more pressure we put on this, the more that we can fix it. That's what I've got for you guys, and I'll see you.